I will be recording this session, so we'll have it up on the recorded site later. If you're interested in a copy, let me know and you can play it back later. My email address here is right on the front, on this front screen. Presentation takes about 30-35 minutes. We go through it in 3 parts. The first part is HomeFundIt, the platform itself and how it works, really more or less from a consumer angle. The second part of the presentation is going to be about the HomeFundIt Realtor portal, which is the very best place to start somebody on a HomeFundIt campaign. And then we're going to do a short section on the corporate affinity opportunity for HomeFundIt. And then we'll do a quick wrap up and plenty of time for Q&A. And regarding Q&A, on your control panel, you'll find Q&A and you'll also find chat. Doesn't matter to me which one you use. I've got them both open here on my side of the screen. And if you've got questions, feel free to type those in. I'll generally hold questions till the end, although sometimes I'll spot a question that has to do with what I'm talking about, and I'll try to get that answered as quickly as I can as I'm going through. So if you don't get your question answered as I'm flying along, don't feel bad. We'll cover it all at the end, and I'll stick around for as many questions as you guys can throw at me at the end. I love it when there's lots of questions, so please think up some. Try to stump me, and it'll be a little more fun. Okay, let's get the show on the road. And first, what I also like to do is cover a little bit about CMG itself, the company, in case you're not super familiar with the company. Founded 30 years ago by Chris George in his garage in Pleasanton, California, 6 employees, and we've grown steadily to one of the largest privately held mortgage banks in the country, if not the largest privately held mortgage bank. We're a top 15 lender, $30 or $40 billion a year in mortgages, depending on the year. Loan officers across the country, branches all across the country. There's very few places we don't show up. Full range of lending programs that you might expect from a top lender, plus 2 proprietary programs. The all-in-one loan, I call that the most powerful loan on the planet. It's the loan I have on my house. It will change the way you think about mortgages and money forever. So if you're not familiar with that program, get familiar with it. And HomeFundIt, which is what we are here to talk about today. So HomeFundIt, what does it do? And in a nutshell, 2 things. The first is it solves the #1 problem that first-time homebuyers have, and that is the down payment. As we all know, a lot of folks out there, even with mortgage rates as high as they are today, can make a mortgage payment. But what holds people up is the down payment, and that's what we're here to talk about today. Second thing is it's for you. It helps you hold on to folks who aren't ready. Far more of those folks out there than there are folks who are in the market actively searching for a house. So if you can hold on to prospective buyers and not lose them to competitors, you're going to come out ahead. You're going to grow your pipeline of future business. And that's what we're here to really help you with today. And that's a big thing that HomeFundIt does. So let's talk about first-time homebuyers, because that's really the domain of down payments and down payment gifting and solve the problem that we're trying to solve. They're dealing with 3 front page issues that we all know about: high home prices, rising rents, and student debt. Student debt is kind of a new thing in this real estate cycle compared to previous real estate cycles, and it does contribute to the factor of slowing people up in terms of how fast they can save up a down payment. And that's why when you talk to renters today, they'll say in about 70% of cases that the down payment is the #1 problem that they have. So let's talk about prospective buyers versus current buyers. And it's a very important difference to kind of recognize from your own business standpoint the difference between prospective buyers and current buyers. We kind of brush that off because we've had 2 years of pretty good business prior to this. And so we kind of tend to focus a lot on current home buyers, but there's a whole lot of prospective buyers out there. When you take a look at who's buying homes today, it's millennials in general. 82% of millennials, the largest home buying generation ever, want to buy a home. When you look at prospective home buyers out there, 60% of them are first-time buyers. And again, prospective buyers are people who are not currently in the market. They're folks who are dreaming about buying a home, who plan to buy a home someday. Maybe they're just finishing college. Maybe they're just starting that first job. They have home buying on their life to-do list, right? So 60% of the folks who you talk to today technically are first-time buyers. But when you actually look at current buyers, who's in the market today shopping for a home, that number drops down dramatically to 26% of current home buyers being first-time buyers. They get squeezed out of the market because they don't have a down payment. So if you can help more of them come up with a down payment, you're going to do more business. So how do people come up with down payments today? Well, typically it's a solo effort plus a little bit of help in some cases, about 25% of cases, from good old Bank of Mom and Dad. Even though under Fannie, Freddie, FHA guidelines, other relatives can help with the down payment, but they're rarely asked. Why is that? Simple, friction. Paper checks, you got to get those. You got to chase down gift letters. There's rules about who can give, who can't give. It's all very inconvenient. It's kind of hard to go out and ask all kinds of people and get the checks to come in and get the gift letter signed and everything like that. And then when you think about it, the timing of that whole process is very late in the home purchasing process. When the buyer actually learns how to do down payment gifting, they're sitting across the table from a loan officer, filling out a loan application. And the loan officer typically says, so let's talk about the down payment. How are you coming up with the down payment? Well, we've been saving and saving and saving, and Mom and Dad said they would help us a little bit with the down payment. Great. Do you know about gift letters? No, have no idea about gift letters. So here's how you do a gift letter, right? So at that point in the process, it's so far down in the timeline that they really don't have time to go out and chase down all those other relatives and other people who could potentially legally help with the down payment. So it's really, really underutilized. And we said, let's fix that. Let's move this process at least online so that people can help with a debit card or a credit card and no offline paperwork. And what that does is it makes it much, much easier for those people to be able to help. All it takes is a phone call or an email, and those people can help with the down payment. There's no exchange of paper checks, gift letters, etc. And in fact, with HomeFundIt, anyone can give to the down payment, non-relatives, friends, teammates, co-workers, wedding guests, that's a huge one. Anybody can give up to $5,000 per donor, no maximum on how much they can raise on the campaign. There's no commissions or hidden costs with the program. If you tried to do this on Kickstarter, GoFundMe, or anything else, you'd have big fees and you'd have a problem because they're not designed for a mortgage. There's no time limits on the program. You can start as early as you want. We have lots of folks who are still in college, and I'm fairly certain we have a bunch of high schoolers with campaigns. They're running them just as long as they want. And it works with any loan program except for HFA bond and DPA type programs. And really what it boils down to is online down payment gifting from anyone. And that's kind of the elevator pitch for HomeFundIt. We've taken the process online and we've allowed anyone to be able to give. It sets up very, very easily. They go through a few simple setup screens, and in about 3 minutes, they have a campaign page, and they look like everything. You can put any kind of picture you want on there. We see a lot of family and friends type pictures. We see a lot of newlyweds. We see graduation type pictures, big families, small families, solo buyers. It can be whatever they want. It's basically whatever they think is going to resonate with the family and friends that they're talking to. Here's an example of kind of the details of the campaign page. You can customize the photo, title of your campaign. We give you a nice little default story that you can modify or keep, depending on what you want. The loan officer and real estate agent are both featured on the campaign page. There's a place in the upper right-hand corner where people donate. There's a second way to add funds to a campaign. It's called Up It. I'm going to talk about that in just a second. And in the bottom right, you can see where all the gifts are coming in, 1, 2, 3. We match those gifts 2 to 1 up to the lesser of $2,000 or 1% of purchase price. And that means in most cases, it's going to be $2,000. And we apply that as an automatic lender credit, $2,000 at closing. And there's only 2 requirements for this. One is you have to be a first-time buyer, and we use the 3-year Fannie Mae rule. Only one person has to be a first-time buyer. And the second one is a big one. You have to take homebuyer ed prior to signing a purchase contract, which is when it would be sensible to do your homebuyer ed is before you get into a purchase contract. So we stick to that. It has to happen prior to signing a purchase contract. To make it really easy, right from the campaign page, you can start a free 1-hour phone-based Monday through Friday Eastern Time course with Green Path, and that'll qualify you for homebuyer ed. It couldn't be easier. Just get it done prior to signing a purchase contract. Or if you want to do one online, any HUD-approved online course will work. So that's the 2 to 1 match up to $2,000. And again, we apply that as a closing cost credit. We stack a lot of these with Borrow Smart. And if you've got a buyer who makes less than 100% of the area median income, you should absolutely be considering stacking on top of Borrow Smart. We have an exclusive ability to stack these 2 programs together. Borrow Smart can get them up to $1,500 extra towards either the down payment or closing costs. It does require its own home buyer ed from Home Preservation Foundation. It's $99. You got to do that one if you're doing Borrow Smart, but that'll count for your HomeFundIt home buyer ed, not the other way around. But when you stack these two programs, there's a total potential of about $3,500 towards the purchase. There's a huge overlap because first-time buyers make less money between these two demographics, between these two programs. So wherever you're doing HomeFundIt, you want to consider, if possible, stacking Borrow Smart on top of it. Up it. I mentioned a second way to add funds, and you do that simply by shopping. This is an exclusive feature you can only find in HomeFundIt. It's the only place you can shop and get a bigger down payment just by doing what you're already doing. We work with about 1,000 online retailers. If you click right in here on the campaign page, it'll open up the world of online retailers. Each one of them rebates a certain percentage of what gets spent back to the down payment as a pledge at closing. Anybody can shop. The buyer, the loan officer, the real estate agent, it doesn't matter. Anybody can do their online shopping, family, friends, etc., and help with that down payment. There is a handy Chrome extension that people can install on their browsers, and you don't therefore have to go through this campaign page link. You can go directly to walmart.com and it'll automatically link that campaign to the purchase. So we always tell people, tell all your family and friends to put the Chrome extension on. They never miss an opportunity to help you with your down payment. All the stores you know and love are in here. If you're doing any traveling, big dollars there. You want to definitely make sure you're using Up-It along the way because that'll help the person a little bit more. But pretty much everybody's in here where you'd be shopping online. And just like the gifts coming in 2-to-1 match, you get a 2-to-1 match on those shopping pledges towards that same $2,000 lender credit. So think about it as a second way to get to that $2,000. Also $10 per share. We basically, anytime you want to share your campaign on social, we bonus your $2,000 with $10 per person, per platform, per day. We have 3 platforms you can share on right from the top of the campaign page. Just click those links on the top of the campaign page. Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. Each time those get shared, it's $10 per person, per platform, per day. You can share more than once a day. You just get only $10 per person, per platform, per day. Family and friends can share also. So when they coming in from their computer, visit your campaign page, share, they'll help you get $10 too. So we got a lot of folks out there who like to share their campaigns on social. This is a great way to get a little bit of extra credit for doing that. Now, once you set up your campaign page, there's a dashboard with a handy little to-do list that explains exactly what you need to do to have a good campaign, set it up, update your photos, get everything looking pretty. You can start your home buyer ed right from here. One of my favorite things is if you're not into sharing on social, there's a great thing here where you can email your family and friends. There are 3 fantastic emails that are pre-written. You can copy and paste those into your email and send that out to your family and friends. It invites them to come by the campaign page and check it out. 3 different ways of asking people to come in and check it out. So it's great for people who are reluctant to share on social. Some great help with just getting some emails together. You can link the Realtor from here if they're not already linked to the campaign. Start your home buyer ed from here. Totally control your campaign page. In fact, up in the upper right-hand corner is the preview button, which allows you to jump over from your dashboard to your campaign page. Now, for all loans except for Freddie Mac loans, seasoning is required on these loans. Whoops, my page is jumping ahead on me here. Seasoning is required on these loans. So yeah, there's 2 tracks to HomeFundIt. One is the Freddie Mac track, one is the non-Freddie Mac track, and I'm doing the non-Freddie Mac track here first. Seasoning is required on the funds coming in that are being raised. You can start with Up-It if you don't want to actually start fundraising yet. Typically, fundraising runs around 4 to 12 weeks once people start doing their asking and getting out there talking to family and friends. Make sure you get your home buyer ed done before you get out there and get done with all of your house hunting and everything. And you want to make sure you get that done before you get into contract. Now, because seasoning is required, we have an ACH button on the campaign control panel that allows you to dump those funds from your campaign into your bank account for seasoning. How long is seasoning? 2 bank statements. That's typically at least 60 days for most folks. And make sure you're getting that done well before you get into contract. If you don't have time to season those funds, what people do is they hold those funds in their campaign and they just ACH them to themselves after closing, you still qualify for the $2,000 lender credit at closing and any UPIT funds that you've earned. Again, they just pull those funds afterwards. I would say probably half the folks are seasoning, half the folks are holding the funds until after closing. Either way, you're going to earn your $2,000 lender credit. With Freddie Mac, couldn't be easier. No seasonings required. You can set up your campaign, run it as long as you want, fundraise, get in there and do your house hunting. Make sure you get your home buyer ed done before you get into contract. Submit your loan application, close. You're going to get your $2,000 lender credit, UPIT funds pledged, and the gift funds on a Freddie Mac campaign. This is Freddie Mac Conventional, Home Possible, and Choice Renovation. Those funds are automatically wired in at closing, so it couldn't be easier. Program stats to date, we have closed about 1,700 of these successfully, so we've got a pretty good sense for what happens on these deals. There's no upper limit on these campaigns, so occasionally we see some very large campaigns coming in, well up into the $30,000, $40,000 range. These are just some of the top campaigns. I have to update this slide a little bit here. I would say instead though, the sweet spot campaign is 5 to 15,000, 5 to 15 donors. This is for a good-looking, well-shared campaign. You're looking at one here. This was a couple in South Carolina. They had recently gotten married. They went back to the same group of people who came to their wedding, after the wedding actually, and said, hey, you know guys that we've been talking about buying a house. We just discovered this thing called HomeFundIt and wondering if you guys would like to join us on our home buying journey. They actually thought just their parents would give. And instead, 13 people gave almost $11,000, and they were in their home that much sooner. So a great example of right in the middle sweet spot campaign. And you may look at this number and say, well, $11,000, 13 people, that's pretty good. Nice to have an extra $10,000, $11,000 towards the purchase. But what's really important from your standpoint is the 13 people. And that's what we call the network effect for HomeFundIt. The network effect for you means more business. In a typical home purchase, there are 4 players on the stage: the loan officer, the seller, the realtor, and the buyer. And you're hoping to get a little bit of referral business out of the buyer, basically. But with HomeFundIt, you have those 4 players, plus you have all the donors who are helping that buyer buy their house, who know about HomeFundIt, who are part of the process, who know the loan officer now, who are familiar with who's involved in the purchase. They see this thing called HomeFundIt. It's a cool thing that allowed them to help their friend buy a house. And guess what they do? They all go out and talk to their networks. Each one of those donors has their own network. Each one of those donors is doing this new thing they've never done before called HomeFundIt. And all those referrals come back to the loan officer and real estate agent. Talk to my friend's realtor and loan officer. They've got this cool thing called HomeFundIt. And we see this over and over with HomeFundIt, where campaigns with larger donor networks generate these larger amounts of referrals downline, because all those people go out and talk about it. They tell all their friends about it. You're buying a house, you got to go talk to my friend's loan officer, my friend's real estate agent. They did this cool thing called HomeFundIt. They raised a bunch of money, and they were in their house sooner. Those people will all go out and talk to their family and friends. This is probably the most important slide I can show you here. How do you generate more donors? You give your buyer time. Right? You're not going to, if you jam your buyer at the tail end right as they're starting to shop for a house, they're just not going to have time to work it comfortably into their lives and invite their family and friends to come by and check out their campaign page and things like that. If you give them plenty of time, right, starters as early as you possibly can, it gives them time to kind of comfortably work it into those conversations, or when grandma comes to visit, or when they see their friends and they're out with their friends and they whip out their cell phone and they say, hey, check out this cool thing I'm doing called HomeFundIt. Right? If you give them time, those opportunities start to come up, and your buyer, who wants to buy a house pretty bad, will invite their friends and family to come and check out their page, right? That's all they're doing, right? If you don't give them time, it's very hard to generate these larger donor networks. So the number one thing I can tell you is start these relationships as early as you possibly can, any way you can, right? And give your buyer time to make this magic start to happen, because that's what's going to grow your pipeline down the road. So weddings, huge opportunity for HomeFundIt. This is probably the red hot area in HomeFundIt right now. We've got a lot of great flyers. The main pitch with weddings is let your wedding guests help with your down payment, right? That is a pitch that all folks who are getting married today totally understand. They've got all the stuff they need. Nobody wants china and crystal anymore. Go down to the thrift store, you'll see stacks of that stuff. They've got all the air fryers and appliances they could possibly need. What they need is a down payment for a house. And when we go to wedding expos, in fact, I had 2 wedding expo meetings yesterday for planning with loan officers and real estate agents. They get a table. They put up the backdrop that says, let your wedding guests help with your down payment. And everybody at the wedding expo gets it. It is not a hard pitch, and it's not why they're there at the wedding expo, but it's a box they're going to check at some point. Those are future home buyers walking around, and they all are very responsive to that message. People are putting QR codes leading to their HomeFundIt page, in their save the date announcement, in their wedding announcement. It's a very exciting type of thing. I just talked to a young lady who is planning on getting married. She says, hey, I'm not doing a regular registry. I'm doing HomeFundIt. I don't want people to go into a registry and buy me more stuff. We don't need more stuff. So this really is the anti-registry, right? This is the opposite of that, because if you set up a registry, you're going to get people to buy stuff for you. That's not what you want. What you want is a down payment. So people are saying, hey, we're doing this instead of a registry. Would you like to help with the down payment? And trust me, if you're a wedding guest, you'd much rather help with the down payment than buy somebody an air fryer. Imagine the conversation later. Hey, how's that air fryer? Or, hey, how's the house I helped you buy? Right? Much more meaningful for a wedding guest. So this is a red hot area right now. It's a great conversation to have with somebody, and it makes for a great way to lock in a long range buyer. Another big opportunity is what we call the next gen buyer. And this is a real pipeline builder. You know, biggest issue we have in the industry today is that not enough people are selling homes, right? The inventory levels are low because people are locked in, either at a 3% loan or they're aging in place. So how do you find the next generation of buyers? Well, today, the typical ask is, call me when your kids are ready to buy a house, right? How effective do you think that is? Maybe marginally, right? But with HomeFundIt, you have the ability to talk to your older clients and say, hey, we've got this great new tool that can help your kids get into a home sooner. Whole family can help, friends can help, right? Everybody can shop to help with the down payment. And it's a great way to open up a conversation with an existing client, an older client who's not monetizable, and turn that into a monetizable conversation. Say, let's get them set up today. What you're looking at here is a young lady who was a junior at Clemson. She heard about it from her dad, the fellow in the purple shirt here in this campaign. He's a realtor. He actually went home, talked to his daughter about this, and she said, let's get that set up. I remember when she set it up, not a lot happened for about a year because she was in school, but she graduated and then put a QR code in her graduation announcement and said, hey, if you're thinking about sending me anything for graduation, what I really want is to be able to buy a house someday soon. And I'm saving for a house, and if anything you could do to help would be great. By the way, any gift you give on my HomeFundIt campaign is worth $3. Every dollar is worth $3. She was in her house by November after graduating. So fantastic story of how conversation with a next-gen buyer turned into a home purchase just a very short time later. So give that some consideration. We have a fantastic Domo report for you loan officers in Domo. It's called the Next Gen Target Report. What it does is it goes back through all of your past loans and identifies the loans with dependents between the age of 18 and 26 as per the loan application date. And it allows you to go ahead and identify folks to be able to reach back out to and say, hey, I understand you have kids who are coming up through college, how are things going? We've got this great new tool. So give that report a look. It's in Domo. Okay, real estate agent portal. How do you get this out there to your customers if you're a realtor? We've got a fantastic tool that is a great starting place for HomeFundIt. It's super easy to set this up. It links to your loan officer. It's got marketing tools in it, nurture marketing for downstream contact on these long-range campaigns, and keeps you up to date when things are happening on the campaign. We call it the Realtor portal. It's got your branding on it. It's got your picture and contact information on it. It's got a big green button where you have your client start a HomeFundIt campaign. That's going to be linked to you and your loan officer. There's a place where clients can ask a question, and this goes right back to your email. There's video that explains how the program works. There's an active and successful campaigns tab that features all the campaigns that come from your portal, and people can click right into them here. They're live links. There is in 40 states, you're able to match contributions. towards closing costs, just like you do today, helping with closing costs, only this sort of makes it public. You can set up a match on the donations up to any cap that you want. Again, there's 40 states that allow this. There's some great reasons to do this. One of them is that it incentivizes your buyer to go out and raise funds. The second thing that it does, obviously, it gives you a little bit of publicity, right? And again, if you incentivize your buyer to go out and raise more funds, that means more donors, that means more referrals. So these are really great things to do if you're in one of the states that allow you to be able to do it. In your portal, there is a marketing center that has social graphics that you can download and share, plus testimonial videos that you can download and share or share directly from your portal. Let me talk to you about these testimonial videos because they are the best thing that you can share on social. They come with your branding automatically applied to the video that you're going to share. So couldn't be better. Wherever this video goes, your branding goes right with it. You just click on the share link underneath. Plus, there's a contact form that goes with every one of these videos. So wherever this video goes, you go with it. People can get back in touch with you. There are 7 of these in there, all different types of stories, fantastic testimonial videos. I encourage people to share one every weekend and gets that out in front of all kinds of folks. Here's an example of how to do that. You can see my branding on this video here. I'm just clicking the share link right underneath the video. Pops open a share on Facebook if I'm logged in. All I got to do is put in a little bit of call to action copy. I'll show you how to get that in just a second. We've already pre-written that for you. And then you just hit the post button. It goes right in your timeline. So you've done your marketing for the weekend in just a few seconds. So a fantastic way to go. And if you have a Facebook page, you can boost that post to all kinds of folks who don't currently follow your page. Inside your portal, there is a Facebook marketing kit. Just go into the documents section. That Facebook marketing kit has a page that corresponds with each one of those videos. And on that page is pre-written copy that you're going to just plagiarize and copy and paste right onto that post. And that makes it easy for you to do call to action copy on those posts. Super easy to get one of these portals. Again, just go to realtor.homefundit.com. And all you're going to do is put in your name, email, pick a password, and then you're going to upload some information or just type in some information about your company, pick a name for your site, upload your logo, upload your picture, write a little about me statement or copy that in from your website, and make sure you link your loan officer from the drop down here, and that'll bind both of you to any campaigns that are coming in through the portal. There's a match that you can do, as we were talking about earlier, or you can skip that. Again, I recommend you do it if you're in one of the 40 states that allow for that. And you can cap that at any amount that you want. So it's a really great thing to do. Now, once you get your portal up and running and you got a campaign or two running on there, you'll start to see around the weekends weekly email statements that update you on everything happening on your portal. Your client will also get a weekly email statement that explains how their campaign is going and give them an update. And the loan officer gets a weekly email statement that basically shows all the realtor portals that are connected to them, plus all of the campaigns that are connected to those realtor portals. So everybody's getting updated. Plus there's activity triggered emails anytime something happens on the campaign. Make sure you sign up, again, realtor.homefundit.com. And loan officers, in your Domo reporting section, there is a campaign tracker that'll track all the campaigns that are connected to you. So you can always go into Domo and check that out. It's a great way to kind of keep track, easy way to keep track of a lot of campaigns, in addition to the weekly emails that are coming out. Let's talk briefly about the corporate opportunity. This is the third part of the presentation here. In your HomeFundIt travels, you may bump into companies who are interested in working with their customer or their employees to help them become homeowners. We've got a special portal that allows you to work with that company. They can set up a portal that allows their employees to get started on a HomeFundIt campaign. So it's a really great way for a company to add to their benefits package, essentially, and just get HomeFundIt out in front of their folks. So what you're looking at here is a number of companies that are using it. Probably the biggest one right now is a company called Hammer Enterprises. They're a large franchisor of Wendy's, Panera, and Noodles & Company. I think they have 20,000 employees. They actually have 3 portals. We just met with them yesterday. Again, we kind of have regular meetings with them. They're running about 45 campaigns right now, and they're offering anywhere between $1,000 and $2,500 towards the down payment. Companies have to put some skin in the game, so we do require a company match. We offer marketing tools for the HR folks to be able to communicate the program internally to the organization. We've got a university, Graceland University uses it for their employees. We've got a number of restaurant chains. And we even have builders who are now using these portals as a way to hold on to buyers who come and visit the development. Either the development's not ready, or the buyer's not ready, but the builder can use it as a way to retain future buyers. So if you've got any of these opportunities, we set these up kind of custom, one-on-one. If they're excited about HomeFundIt the same way a customer or a consumer would be excited about HomeFundIt, and they want to take that next step, then we can sit down and have a meeting with the company, find out exactly what they're interested in doing, and then kind of adjust the portal as needed to be able to meet their needs. So if you've got some interest in this area, please reach out to me, and we can help you take the next steps there. And then there's kind of an interesting overlap between the affinity idea here and the wedding opportunity. And that is, when you're at a wedding expo, not only do you have a lot of future buyers walking around, people who are hoping to get married and then buy a house, but you also have tables all around you for wedding photographers, wedding planners, bridal shop owners, et cetera, right? All those folks are businesses competing for business as well. And what we have is an affinity portal that they can set up. Just working with a couple of these yesterday. One of them was a photographer interested in setting up a portal and offering a match to their clients, and offering the portal to their clients as a way to raise a bigger down payment. Because remember, the portal comes with a $2,000 match. That's kind of a cool thing if you're a wedding photographer competing with other wedding photographers and saying, hey, I've got this portal that'll allow you to raise a bigger down payment. You want to buy a house after you get married. I'll match a certain amount of dollars into that portal if you use me as your wedding photographer. And the lender that I work with is going to do a $2,000 match as well. So all around you at a wedding expo are potential business partners that can also help you bring in more business. So it's kind of a cool idea. We're just working with a couple of these yesterday, as I was saying. Okay, to kind of wrap things up here and kind of summarize, and we'll do some Q&A. You know, today when you're meeting with the typical buyer in sort of the typical sense today, it's way down here at the end of the long journey they've been making to try to be able to be ready to buy a house. But with HomeFundIt, we turn that on its head. We allow people to start these relationships in the moment, as early as while they're still in school, starting that first job. If they're not ready to start talking to family and friends yet about buying a house, they can just use UpIt and then transition to regular contributions as they get going. In all cases, they're going to get done sooner because they're getting help from outside. And so what you're doing is you're speeding up the process, you're winning buyers earlier, and you're preempting a deal that your competition can no longer have because they're in your pipeline from the minute you start a HomeFundIt campaign. So you're starting to see what I'm saying here. Start early, because that gives you the ability to lock up that business, make it yours no matter how long that timeline happens to be. And it all boils down to getting people on these campaign pages as soon as possible. So for you, your client can speed up that process, be ready sooner. For you, it can also help you secure these long-range buyers. For your clients, it's a game changer because you take the friction out of down payment gifting. It opens up new possibilities for that buyer. They want to buy a house pretty bad. They will think of ways, and we've seen this 1,700 times, they will think of ways to be able to help. To get help with that down payment. And there's two ways people can help them: down payment donations and shopping. This whole thing, again, boils down into an elevator pitch I call online down payment gifting from anyone. If you explain to your client, we've moved this process of down payment gifting online so that it's easier for people to help with that down payment, and you make it so that anyone can give, then you take out all of the confusion and the friction in the process. You give that gift to your buyer, they're going to do something with it. And we see that over and over. So for you, if you're a real estate agent, set up a Realtor portal. If you're a loan officer, make sure all your agents that you work with have these, realtor.homefundit.com. Second thing, make sure you work it into every first-time buyer discussion. Again, as I was saying, the elevator pitch is, hey, we've got online down payment gifting where anyone can give. What do you think you can do with that, right? That's the conversation starter, right? And number one rule, start campaigns as early as you possibly can, right? Third thing, train yourself to go out and identify future buyers. You know, like I said earlier, we've had 2 or 3 years of really good business where the great real estate and mortgage tree has been raining business into our hands without even having to go look for it hardly. And we've all been very good about finding current buyers because they walk in the front door looking for business, right? And the change here is to really retrain yourself to go out, network, talk, listen, have your antennas wide open, you know, making sure that you're looking around for future buyers, people who have not bought a house yet, but probably are going to be in a position to buy a house someday. These are the kids of your friends who are finishing up college, right? These are the young people that you know who are starting those first jobs. Identify those future buyers and have those conversations because they're game-changing conversations, right? And do things to tap into that next generation of home buyers, like talking to your older clients about getting their kids started on a HomeFundIt campaign. Again, the bottom line is more time will help you allow them to create larger donor networks, which gives you more referral business down the road. And little things like posting the testimonial videos and putting links to your portal everywhere you can, your signature block, things like that, right? Little things like that can make a difference as well. So those are the 4 steps that we see successful agents and loan officers take. And that's HomeFundIt. The program itself, the Realtor platform, and the corporate affinity opportunity. I try to do these webinars every Friday at 10. So if you know of folks that haven't been to this, encourage them to come to this. Same registration link as always. I'll do dedicated trainings for branches, for Realtor offices, for any group that you want. Corporate affinity presentations, once folks are kind of interested in the program, if it's a company, reach out to me and let me know how we can help. I've got a team that helps onboard customers into these campaigns, and we make sure that the process goes smoothly once the campaigns are set up, making sure the loans are connected, making sure that everything is maximized to the degree that we can. So reach out to me. My contact here is dnesbitt@cmgfi.com. And I want to thank you guys for being on the call today. And before you go, I've got a special gift here in the chat. It is a HomeFundIt starter kit. What it is it's a link to a zip file that you want to download, save to your computer, and unpack. And inside there are a couple starter flyers. There are some quick start flyers for loan officers and real estate agents that will help you get a quick start on the program and some tips to remember. Copy of the presentation deck. Actually, it's my old one. This is a new deck that's kind of semi-functional here. But the old deck is very similar. That's in there. And there's an FAQ document. And the most important thing in there is the HomeFundIt cheat sheet. The cheat sheet is my crib notes on the program. It's got a link to everything under the sun. So all of the videos have links to them. There is a summary of the program that you can copy and paste into emails and so forth. So the cheat sheet's the very best place to start. So grab that link here in the chat section, download it, unpack it, and there's all kinds of goodies in there. And if you got questions, stick those in the Q&A section or the chat section, and I'll do my best to get those answered here. Okay, I got my first question here. Do we have a CMG standing banner and tablecloth that we can use for bridal shows? Yes. Talk to the CMG marketing department. I think Kezia is the person to talk to there, and she'll get you squared away. Plan early on those wedding expos because that banner and there's a backdrop banner and a retractable banner. Those are in high demand. So they're always out, and then they're always coming back and they're going out again. So make sure you get your name on the list as early as you possibly can. There is a whole bunch of other learnings that go along with wedding expos in terms of kind of the best practices and things. So if you do sign up for a wedding expo, reach out to me and I can share some of those with you. We've got a ton of flyers for wedding related stuff on Surefire, customizable. We've got follow-up emails. By the way, the big thing with wedding expos is in the follow-up because remember, nobody's there at the wedding expo to buy a house or get a mortgage. But when they see you, they're very interested because that's the next thing they're going to do is buy a house. So they pull in there and they say, hey, this is cool. I can use my wedding guests to help me, check that next box. So they're all very interested, but the key is in the follow-up, because they go away, they work on their wedding, and we've got some great follow-up emails built into Surefire that you can use. So we've really been working the wedding channel pretty hard because it's a good one for HomeFundIt. Okay, I'll pause here for a second for any other questions that are coming in. I didn't get my favorite question, which is one that almost always comes up, is what happens if the person doesn't buy a house and they raise all this money and they don't buy a house? Well, the answer there is that almost never happens, because as people start raising funds, at that point, they're talking to their family and friends about helping with the down payment. They're pretty committed to the program at that point. They're pretty committed to buying a house, so they rarely, if ever, voluntarily exit the program. Usually when the funds start really coming in on a campaign, we're fairly certain that that deal is going to close. It's a huge retention tool. People realize that people are much more likely to give on a platform like HomeFundIt than they are to hand a cashier's check to you. So people like to give on these platforms like this because it's kind of official. So a lot of things are working in the favor of getting that deal closed and not running away. On occasion, we see people hit a life emergency, job issue or a healthcare issue or divorce, something like that, and the deal really blows up for reasons that nobody can control. And in those cases, we can ungift the funds. That's usually what they ask us to do. They don't want the money. They usually ask us to reverse the donations back to the credit cards. But it's their money. They have the ACH button. They can always pull the money. People don't feel like the money's trapped there, which is good. So the ACH button is always available to them until they get a Freddie Mac underwrite. And then it goes away because that's automatically applied at that point. So pretty rare that people exit. Another question, can we use a gift in addition to these funds since the max is $5,000? Great question. Yes, HomeFundIt doesn't stop you from doing anything in the traditional sense. We do have campaigns where $5,000 comes in on the platform and then another $20,000 comes in via check. But remember, the traditional gift has to have the traditional paperwork, gift letter, etc. We see a lot of mom gives 5, dad gives 5, grandma gives 5, grandpa gives 5, that kind of thing. We see a lot of campaigns like that. Okay, I'm not seeing any other questions here. So I'll let you guys go. If you do have questions, shoot me an email, dnesbitt@cmgfi.com, and we're here to help along the way. And thank you guys for being on the call today. Go out and make it a great and safe weekend, and we'll see you out there on the HomeFundIt trail in the days and weeks ahead. Bye, everybody.